mountains, a whisper in the current, an invitation to find your river legs. In this story, we discover what happens when you answer.
Driving into Cataloochee, and I am blasting Werewolves of London by Warren Zevon. I am just singing it, just shouting it, right? And I'm going down, I slide into the parking lot, and Werewolves of London, I'm screaming, and I get out, and I run down the trail. I'm trying to get to this trail, I come across the river, and I run head on into an elk, just like this. We stared at each other for 10 seconds, then it got awkward. And then, how did I do that? How did I do that? Because I didn't see it. It was right in front of me, but I hadn't taken the time to get my river legs, listen to things around me, take 15, 20 minutes, shut up, sit on a rock. The leaves, the wind blowing through the leaves becomes louder. You hear the birds chirping further up. You feel the water on the rock you're sitting on. You see it vibrate. You feel it vibrating with the water running by it.
Not everyone hears the call of the Southern Smokies, but once you do, it's hard to ignore.
My name's Joe Woody. My wife and I live in Asheville, North Carolina. We moved here 26 years ago when I was medically retired from the Army. I grew up in Greenville, South Carolina. I fished all my life with my father and my grandfather. But quite frankly, I didn't even know the mountains existed. To the mountains, and I've written a story. I walked into a masterpiece. Well, initially, I came here for a job. I didn't even know I had a spiritual connection to the mountains. It wasn't until I got here and started exploring that I had a goal to fish every trout stream in Western North Carolina. I thought that was possible 26 years ago. And now 26 years later, it's not possible. You can spend a lifetime exploring these mountains and maybe hit half of your goal. I consider myself a blue line angler. What's a blue line angler, you might ask? A blue line angler is when you pick a blue line on a map and it doesn't have a name, right? My passion and my love is to go find that blue line on a map and fish it. It's a hiking and camping and busting brush and wildlife encounter, avoiding big hogs and sleeping in the dark and having coyotes howl at your tent and bears charging your Big Agnes sticker, right? Those are the experiences that I love. I get those on this side of the Smokies.
The Southern Smokies sure are majestic, but what role do we play?
I took a geology course in college, and they introduced me to something called soil creep, that a rock that falls off Mount Mitchell eventually ends up in the Atlantic Ocean. So that at the time, it's funny, I remember that one line from college. I had no idea how it was going to affect me later in life and the way that I was going to start a conservation movement to pick up something one piece at a time. Say, for example, a fisherman, where they're in a boat, whether they're walking along the river, up the river. A lot of times when you change your fishing line out, you just clip a little piece of that fishing line off. Where does it go? Break a fishing line off on a tree and you break 10 feet of fishing line and the hook's in the tree. That fishing line hanging down has the possibility of catching animals and birds and insects and killing them. For years, you just do that willy-nilly. You don't even think about it. But if you can start thinking about those things, start picking these things up as you see them, one piece at a time, we start cleaning the riverbank. So it starts out with my leader eater product. You pick up a fishing line, stick it in here and roll it up into it. Or if you got a piece of paper, you just stick it right in there. So it's not big, but it's the beginning of bringing somebody around spiritually to protecting what we all love. You know, an interesting point about our lakes, you know, the rivers and streams have always been there, and they've always been there. But somebody could prove me wrong, but I don't know of a natural lake in Western North Carolina or East Tennessee. So what does that mean? We made it. We got to protect it.
When you become a steward of the land, something begins to shift. You start to hear it in the wind. And somewhere along the way, you find your river legs. And with them, experiences you never knew were waiting.
Hogs were snorting around my tent, fighting, everything. And then something bigger came in and ran all the hogs off. And this was right at my head. And it was digging outside my tent and full charging at my big Agnes sticker on my tent, right in my head. Yeah, those are the type of experiences that you can have in the Smokies. And if that's what you like, they're there. You will have them. You spend any time alone in this part of the world on blue lines, I guarantee you that will happen. Well, you don't have to go really into the national park. Just go go up in the headwaters of the Tuckasegee, right? Spend some time. Just get away from the crowds. You know, get away from the crowds. Find you a campsite, a licensed campsite. I shouldn't say that will happen to you, because I know people who spent day upon day out fishing out in the backcountry, and they never have those experiences. Why? My personal philosophy is you haven't gotten your river legs yet. The leaves, the wind blowing through the leaves becomes louder. You hear the birds chirping further up. You feel the water on the rock you're sitting on. You see it vibrate. You feel it vibrating with the water running by.
When you stop rushing, you start hearing more, seeing more. That's when people talk about getting their river legs. Not because the mountains changed, but because you did. When that happens, you don't just visit the Southern Smokies. You become a keeper of the mountains.
You get into the spirit world. If you've never experienced that bear walks 10 feet by you, you'll never see it. I have a buddy who's an engineer, and we went fishing for years. He's never had a bear encounter. Never seen any animals. I'll say, did you see the bear 20 yards from you? What bear? Right? And over time, he started getting his river legs. Now we're having bear encounters. He said, man, did you see that? I said, yeah. It makes you 1,000% better fisherman. Not aware of the bugs that are coming off the water, or how clear the water is, or what's flying around. We talk about getting your river legs in your ears and hearing things. It's part of a calling, you know. Is it you're in a club? No, because there's no club. You become aware of the spirituality of what we call our mountain. Once you figure that out, and you do have your first encounter with something that you can't explain, you'll look at me and you go, oh,